Is Tesla cheaper than petrol UK? Let's break it down. Ever since petrol prices started skyrocketing, everyone's been asking the same question: are electric cars finally the more affordable option? After all, with gas guzzlers becoming a financial burden, the allure of Teslas and other EVs is undeniable. But is the switch to electric truly economical? Here in the UK, where petrol prices are particularly high, the answer isn't a simple yes or no. It depends on a few key factors, and that's what we're here to dissect today. So buckle up, or should I say, plug in, as we dive into the world of electric versus petrol costs in the UK. Petrol versus electricity, a price showdown. Let's start with the most obvious, the price at the pump, or rather, the price at the charging station. As of today, the average price of petrol in the UK is hovering around £1.70 per litre. That translates to roughly £7.70 per gallon. Yikes! Electricity prices, on the other hand, fluctuate depending on your provider and charging plan, but the average cost sits around £0.14 per kilowatt-hour. Now, here's where things get interesting. We can't directly compare pounds per litre to pounds per kilowatt-hour because they measure different things. But what we can do is estimate how much it costs to fill up an electric car with enough electricity to match the range of a petrol car. Let's say we use a typical petrol car that gets around 40 miles per gallon. To travel that same distance, a Tesla Model 3, for instance, would use roughly 24 kilowatt-hours of electricity. Here's the math. At £0.14 per kilowatt-hour, charging a Tesla Model 3 for a 40-mile trip would cost around £3.36. That's significantly cheaper than filling up a petrol car with the same range, which would set you back around £30.80. But wait, there's more. Hold on a sec, petrol heads. Don't go trading in your cars just yet. There are other factors to consider when calculating the total cost of ownership. Here are a few things that might tip the scales in favor of petrol. Upfront cost. Electric vehicles, particularly Teslas, tend to have a much higher upfront cost compared to petrol cars. While government subsidies can help bring down the price, the initial investment for an EV is still significantly higher. Charging infrastructure. While charging stations are becoming more widespread, they still aren't as ubiquitous as petrol stations. Depending on your location and lifestyle, finding a convenient charging point might be a challenge, especially on long journeys. Public charging stations can also add to the cost, especially compared to the convenience of pulling up to a petrol pump. Maintenance costs. Electric vehicles generally require less maintenance than petrol cars. There's no oil to change, no spark plugs to replace, and the electric motors have fewer moving parts that can wear down. However, if something major goes wrong with the battery or electric motor, repairs can be very expensive. Depreciation. The jury's still out on how well electric vehicles hold their value compared to petrol cars. The technology is still relatively new, and there's a chance that depreciation rates for EVs might be higher in the coming years. So, the verdict? There's no one-size-fits-all answer to whether Tesla or petrol is cheaper in the UK. It depends on your individual circumstances, driving habits, and priorities. Here's a quick breakdown to help you decide. Choose Tesla if you drive a lot and want to save on running costs. You have access to convenient charging facilities at home or work. You're willing to make a higher upfront investment for the environmental benefits and potentially lower maintenance costs. Stick with petrol if you need the flexibility and convenience of petrol stations for long journeys. You're on a tight budget and can't afford the higher upfront cost of an EV. You're concerned about the potential for high repair costs if something goes wrong with the battery or electric motor. The future is electric, but maybe not quite yet. The truth is, the future of transportation is undoubtedly electric. As battery technology improves, charging infrastructure expands, and production costs go down, electric vehicles are poised to become the more affordable option across the board. But for now, in the UK and many other parts of the world, the decision between Tesla or petrol remains a complex one. That said, thanks for watching, and until next time.